hey, hey, hey. Let's go.
What's going on, YouTube? This is your boy Carnell, the Tech Savvy Rider. Hey, it's been about a month since this incident occurred. I didn't really want to talk about it when it happened because after it did happen, it was so many videos that I saw across the internet or saw on YouTube that talked about the so-called death wobble. And every video that I came across that I actually sat down to take the time to watch, none of it had anything to do with what happened to me. I'm going to try my best to explain to you the death wobble that I experienced on my Goldwing. Now, if you don't know what the death wobble is, stop this video, because I don't want to hijack other people's videos and add them in this one trying to explain what the death wobble is. So just take the time to stop this video, go look up death wobble on YouTube, and then come back to this video. Go ahead. Okay, now that you're back, I want to be able to tell you what the death wobble is not. From all the videos that I watched, there was several of them out there that basically had a lot of information, and I didn't really deal with it, but at the same time, I can tell you that what they're saying is not true. First thing first, the death wobble occurs from front tires cupping. That is not true at all. Next video I saw said that the death wobble occurred from the bearings in the front wheel were worn out, and all of a sudden you see a guy on a motorcycle who's probably doing 70, 80, 90 miles per hour, and his handlebars are shaking up and down, and then he's saying something like, "Oh, this must be the death wobble," and then all of a sudden, splat, he hits the highway. That's not the death wobble. Another video I came across was saying something about the front tire, low pressure. Basically, it all added up to some type of maintenance, the reason why the death wobble occurred. I'm here to tell you from my experience, yeah, you can experience a wobble from those things, but those are not the death wobble. Those are actually the perfect example of those motorcycle riders not performing maintenance on their bike. Yeah, I'm gonna be the first one to say it. Those are the perfect examples of maintenance not being pulled on those motorcycles, because you had plenty of time to change out your tires the minute it started cupping. You had plenty of time to change out your ball bearings in your front wheel when the ball bearings started wearing out. It gave you plenty of warning before you actually got out there and flopped on your face in the middle of the highway. Plenty of times you could have changed out your tires and got a new set of tires if your tires were bald or whatever it was that you were claiming that it could have been that caused the death wobble. All that stuff falls back on piss poor maintenance of that motorcycle owner not performing maintenance on his motorcycle. Alright, now, I'm not trying to, irritate or piss anybody off. I'm just calling it for what I see. The death wobble, from my experience, had nothing to do with the front tire at all. It didn't. Nothing to do with the front tire. Alright. If you looked up the death wobble, you saw probably a motorcycle was going, swaying back and forth, and then all of a sudden he lost control of his handlebars, and the handlebars started slapping up against the tank, so-called the name, the tank slapper. From my experience, I'm going to tell you 3 ways that can actually cause the death wobble, the actual death wobble. 1, sudden impact from another vehicle has reared you while you was on your motorcycle. That sudden impact took out the made damages to your rear wheel assembly, which caused the death wobble. The minute you got hit, you were still going down the road, and all of a sudden you lost control of your bike. I'll explain all of that in a minute. Number 2, sudden impact. You was riding down the highway and an object in the road caused the death wobble. Meaning you ran over a debris in the highway, a steel pipe. In my case, it was a pothole. I was able to swerve my front tire, and my back tire hit that pothole. Bam! And it took that pothole out. For me, it damaged the rear wheel assembly, everything in the rear wheel, and I'll tell you more about it in a minute. That what caused the death wobble for me. And number 3 is not a sudden impact. It's gonna all boil down to sabotage, meaning someone was out to get you and they sabotaged your bike. I'm not going to sit up and try to explain how to sabotage someone's motorcycle, because I don't want this video to get banned by YouTube. But you'll figure it out once I go over and explain to you how this incident had happened to me. Now, 1, being reared by a vehicle, sudden impact, that didn't happen to me. Even though I have had 2 accidents on a Goldwing, I never was reared by another vehicle. Some of my fellow subscribers can leave a comment in the comment section on how it happened to them and what occurred. But number 2 definitely did. And to give you an idea of what really happens during the death wobble, is the death wobble is basically caused, the real death wobble is actually caused from a sudden impact of damages done to the rear tire. When I hit that pothole, my wheel well, the studs on my disc brake, here it is right here. This is my rear disc assembly for my Goldwing. Okay, this is the stud that goes in. It's 4 other studs that go with it. Okay, when I hit that pothole, the stud number 1 broke off. Okay, as you can see, it's broke. The minute one stud comes out, the studs with the remaining nuts on the end of it, they easily start coming unscrewed. Okay, keep in mind, these studs is what your tire, your rim goes up against. So you got your wheel, and you got the studs, then you got your nuts. When these nuts start coming unloose, that causes the whole tire to go back and forth off this disc assembly. Okay, this is a action. A reaction is what your front tire is doing. When the back wheel is going this way, the front wheel is going that way. So you have that so-called death wobble effect. Now, in this incident, it becomes to a point where if the back tire is going right, the front is going left, it starts out gradually, slow. Then it gets to a point where it just started the bike just comes loose from you. I mean, it just feels like it want to get away from you. And the faster it's going, the more control you don't have. At this point, it becomes the so-called tank slapper, because your handlebars are now slapping up against your gas tank. Okay, on my bike I have the healer bar, so my grips are higher than my gas tank, so that didn't occur for me. But I'm telling you how it can happen. Now, what I want to tell you is how I was able to walk away from my Goldwing after the death wobble occurred. Make a long story short, I dropped my bike, and I knew it the minute that the death wobble occurred, that it was a life or death situation. I'm gonna be honest with you. When the death wobble occurred, a person that's speaking to you right now, which is me, has had 2 accidents on a Goldwing. My second accident left me in the middle of the street and in the hospital in a coma for a week. That experience has nothing to do with how I felt going through the death wobble on my Goldwing. I was terrified. I didn't know. I thought I was about to meet my maker, to be honest with you. Okay? But I remained calm, and I'm going to go over and explain to you exactly what I did. Now, keep in mind, I said the death wobble occurs when damage to the back tire has received a sudden impact. So now the back tire, this is the back tire, I'm facing you, so my back tire, so my Goldwing is going this way. This is my back tire. Alright, with the front tire going in the opposite direction, I had no center of gravity for my bike. I had no control. Alright, the warning that I got that something was wrong with my rear tire was a loud clacking sound, a loud broke sound, something like a piece of pipe had broke. That was my first warning before this even happened. I was riding down the road, hit the pothole, pow! Then once I came out that pothole, got down a couple of feet, and I heard plap, like something had broke off the bike, like a piece of metal had broke off the bike. That was the stud. While the stud was still inside the disc, the rear disc, it started coming out, so it started hitting up under the wheel well as the tires were rotating. So it was coming out and hitting up against my rear wheel, my wheel well, and it was making noise. So I was getting this clap, 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 clap when the tires were rotating. That second incident, I knew I had to drop my bike because I knew something had broke off. The minute that clap, clap, clap sound hit, the back tire started weaving, front tire reacted, and I just knew I was a goner. So what I did, and here is what I did. I knew I had to instantly stop my bike, get off of it, drop it, whatever. I just knew I had to stop. Okay, first thing I did after the bike started moving, and some of these videos are telling you not to do this, but I'm telling you this is what I did. First thing I did was halfway pulled in my clutch, halfway pulled in my front brakes. Okay, keep in mind, I'm on a Goldwing. So the Goldwing has 2 braking systems. The rear brake, rear paddle for the paddle for your rear brakes, and your front brake, which is linked with your back. It's not actually linked, but if you pull in your front brakes on a Goldwing, it'll react or cause the back wheel to slow down. Okay, it's like a chain reaction. It's not actually linked, but it does slow down. That's why you can see a Goldwing rider coming to a stoplight and he got his foot up on his pedals, on his foot pads, and he never had to take them off his foot pads because he's using his front brake to slow his bike down. And that's how most Goldwing riders can stop their bike at a traffic light or a stop sign without ever releasing or taking their foot off that right foot off that pedal, off their brake off of their foot peg, resting foot peg, because they using their front brakes to brake the bike. All right, so keep that in mind. I'm on a Goldwing. This does not apply to any other motorcycle except for a Goldwing. I'm making sure I perfectly say that. I slowly pulled in my clutch and my front brakes at the same time, and at the same time I'm stepping real hard on my brake pedal. While all of this is going on, the bike is doing this. I'm holding on firmly while I'm braking. While I'm braking, I got the bike leaning. I got it leaning to my non-dominant side, meaning I'm right-handed. So I start leaning my bike to the left. During this process, there's two things that you need to forget. I mean, absolute forget. Number one, do not downshift while you're trying to brake your bike, your engine brake, use your bike and break it down. You're actually trying to choke your engine out. So downshifting, you don't want your engine to match up with your engine idle. You don't want the RPM to match up with your engine idle. You want it to choke out. So leave your downshifting alone. Left foot does no action whatsoever. Number two, your kill switch on your handlebar by your front brakes on a Goldwing. Your kill switch, forget about it. You're trying to stop that bike. You ain't got time to be messing with other mechanisms. You trying to get off that bike. Kill switch, ain't nobody got time for that. Leave it alone. You ain't got time for it. Here is the whole screenshot. Here's what you need to do. Clutch, front brakes, halfway in. Rear brakes, you smashing the heck out of them jokers. You got your bike leaning to the side. When your bike is going slow enough because the engine is being choked out because you're braking, remember, if that engine stops, you got your clutch halfway pulled in, so your wheels are still spinning. They're still spinning. When you feel comfortable enough and you're going slow enough while that bike is leaning, you need to let go of that clutch. While the tires have impact on the highway and the engine is cutting off, it will lock those wheels up. It will lock them up. The engine is going to lock them wheels up. That's going to cause your bike to come to a sudden stop on the side. When that sudden stop occurs, the bike is going to eject you. It's going to eject you from it. The bike might slowly start sliding forward, but when the ejection happens to you, it's going to kick you off, going to the opposite side. So the bike is saying, hey, get off me. I got it from here. When you release that clutch, make sure you're going slow enough to handle the impact of you hitting that pavement, because that is what is about to happen. When you hit that pavement, because you let go of that clutch, keep rolling. You're trying to get away from the bike. Once you see that the distance between you and the bike is safe enough, the bike is going to be stopped. You can stop rolling now. At that point, I simply got right back up, dusted myself off, and went straight back to my bike and picked it up. Now there's plenty of YouTube videos out there showing you how to pick up a dropped motorcycle. And that's exactly how I was able to walk away from the death wobble on my Goldwing. Now, I was able to get back on the bike because I was already at minimal damage. When this damage occurred, I was already at $700 to replace this. This is a $700 part for a Goldwing. These studs probably run you about $5 a piece, so I broke all 5 of them, okay? But, make a long story short, my death wobble occurred from an impact, sudden impact by my rear wheel. I want to make sure everyone knows that. My front tire, my front bearings, no pulling maintenance on my bike, none of that was the issue for my death wobble. It was a sudden impact of me hitting a pothole that caused it. Okay, now to make this turn into a better story, after I got up, I got on my bike, I started it up, I was able to ride 10, maybe 10 miles per hour with the busted studs on my bike. I kept it at a low speed until I got to a safe destination where I could park my bike. Once I was able to park my bike, I got to a destination, I parked the bike, and then I simply called me a taxi, had them come pick me up, came back home, picked up my truck. When I picked up my truck, I went straight to a U-Haul, grabbed me a motorcycle U-Haul, got it hooked up to my truck, and I went back to my bike. Put the bike on a U-Haul, and I took it straight to the dealer. Because I knew the damage that was done, it was going to take more than me. It was going to take a two-man job to get it back up and running. So to make a long story short, you're going to spend some money on a death wobble accident. You're going to spend some money. I spent $1,200 at the dealership, and then I probably spent another $300 or $400 doing some touch-up maintenance myself. So you're going to spend some money. So the reason why you want to drop the moral of the story of this story is, if you don't want to cause more damage to your motorcycle during the death wobble, drop it. Drop it. It'll cause no injury to you, and it'll cause no further damage to your motorcycle, because the death wobble, the damage was done, or damage was already there when the death wobble occurred. You trying to prevent more damages. Don't, and that's the moral of the story. Drop it, save yourself, and prevent more damages to your bike. Now here it is, 1 month later, I'm telling you about the story, and I almost spent about $2,000 trying to get Black Flash back up and running. That's a hell of a lot better story than, hey, whatever could have possibly happened. I don't even want to think about it. But I can tell you that death wobble was the most scariest experience I ever had on my motorcycle. And this is a person who wrecked 2 Goldwings. That's all I need to say. I hope my storytelling helped you out a little bit. But like I said, this only applies to what I did. I'm not telling you how to drop a bike. I'm not telling you this is what you need to do to drop your bike. I'm not telling you any of that. I'm telling you this is what I did, and here it is 1 month later, I'm telling you the story. And my bike is here with me. So take it for what it's worth. Hey YouTube, that's my spiel for the day. Y'all have a good one. GoPro, stop recording.
Hey, hey.